Hey guys, I'm Becky from Book Bite Reviews, and today I'm talking about how I did on my 2020 reading goals. So I think I will just go through one by one each of the goals that I made and how I did, and then I'll do a overall final thoughts at the end and talk about my 2021 reading goals. So I do have my Surface Pro with me, so I will be looking at this to tell you the results because I can't remember all of them. So let's get into it. So my very first goal was to catch up on all of the Jennifer L Armentrout books that I had not yet read. Now there was a total of 38 of them. I greatly underestimated this goal and really thought that this would be pretty easy to do. I only ended up reading 14 of them. I mean, it's 100% my fault that I didn't do this, but I really blame the way that I went about it. So I still think that the goal would have been slightly unobtainable if I wanted to read other books than Jennifer's. If I would have done it where whenever I feel like picking up one or picking up a couple every month, it probably would have gotten done. But instead, I wanted to make it worth it and have Jennifer L Armentrout months and weeks. And that was really my downfall because I kept pushing back reading one because I wanted to wait until I could read a bunch of them. And I really wasn't able to read majority of them until the second half of the year. So execution was not properly done, but I also don't know if I could have completed this goal. I'm happy that I did read 14 of them. I'm glad that I took a chunk out of it, but that's only 37%, which is a giant failing grade. So didn't do that great with this goal. My next goal was to try and read 3,500 pages a month. Last year is the first year that I started tracking how many pages I was reading. So there were some months in 2019 where I read over 4,000 and other months where I read 3,000. So I figured that 35 was the perfect goal where I would still have to try to reach it, but it wouldn't be that difficult. And I really thought that I would have this goal nailed every month. That was not the case. I reached this goal 8 out of 12 months, which is 67% done, which is still a D grade, so not that great. I will say that I did take my total page count, which I don't have up, but I did take my page count and divide it by 12 months, and technically I read enough pages where the average I read a month was over 35, but I did not hit that goal consistently every month. My next goal was to read 6 thick books, which my definition of thick is anything over 500 pages. I did reach this goal plus some. So I ended up reading 14 large books. What's funny is I went into 2020 feeling intimidated by large books. Anytime I would see a bigger book, I would be like, no, I don't want to read that. It's going to take so long. I would just not read those books. And I had so many books that I really, really wanted to read, but because they were larger, I hadn't yet. So I wanted to try to defeat this intimidation in 2020, and I have to say that I definitely have. I now no longer feel like I'm intimidated by large books. I will say that I still have a little bit of trepidation towards them just because I know that it's going to take me some time. It's not a book that I can get done in 2-3 days. I mean, unless you're A Court of Wings and Ruin, I read that book in 3 days, but I have to set up my expectations better. So I'm no longer afraid to pick up bigger books. I feel like now, because I've read so many and they were all really, really good, that now I'm gravitating towards larger books. I defeated this goal as well as defeated my fear. Next, I wanted to finish 5 series, and I did complete this goal. I ended up reading 7 series, and out of the 7 that I read, 4 of them were start to finish in 2020. So it wasn't ones that I had 1 or 2 books to finish the series. 4 of these were I started the first book in 2020 and read the last book in 2020. For these next 2 goals, I kind of messed up with them. So the first one is to catch up on my considered for review. I messed up because I didn't write down the number I had when I started. So I don't know out of how many, but I ended up reading 13 books that were sent to me for review. While I'm happy I made a dent, even though I don't know the number, I know that 13 isn't that big of a dent. So I'm happy that I did read some, but it definitely wasn't enough to feel truly accomplished. And I will say that I'm pretty sure my original goal was to just read books that were personally sent to me for review, where an author emailed me and sent it to me. But I ended up counting books that I got from NetGalley or Edelweiss, so that's where the confusion comes in of what number I should be looking at. So I have changed this goal for 2021. So the other one is to read more from my shelves. Again, I didn't take an accurate number beforehand. My bad. The number that I had on here was like 222. And I know that when I counted for how many I would have for 2021, the number was, I think, 190, which I am a little bit confused on because I do scan all my books onto my Goodreads shelf for books I own, and Goodreads is showing me like 175. And I know that I counted a couple of extra books that I was going to be purchasing towards that goal, but still, I only ended up reading 25 books on my shelves, which, again, I'm happy that I did it, but 25 is not a number where I'm like, wow, I really, I feel successful in this goal and I really did it. So did I complete the goal? Kind of, because I really didn't set a number of what I wanted to reach. I did read books off of my shelf, so it's still a win, but 25, really? Out of all these books, 25? Next, I wanted to start a reading bullet journal, which I did end up doing this year. I started my bullet journal. I did do it every single month. There was only one month where it was a little tricky, which was August. And by tricky, I mean like I didn't even finish setting up the spreads. So there was only one month that was like, a little hinky. I still filled it out though. And I am continuing to do my bullet journals into 2021. I really love doing this. I find it very relaxful. I find it very relaxing and fun, and I'm very happy that I did start my bullet journal. And my very last goal was to read 75 books this year. Well, last year. I ended up reading 136. So I totally crushed this goal. I am very pleased with how much I did. I will say, if you have been paying attention to my reading goals since I started this booktube channel, it was kind of expected. So in 2019, I set my reading goal, I think at like 55, and I ended up reading 100 and some books. And then for 2020, I set it to 75, read 100 and some books, because I thought 2019 was a fluke. So I know that I should have set my goal probably to like at least 100, but I was kind of worried that since in 2019 I read 100 and some books, that it was just a fluke, because it's the highest amount of reading I've ever done in my entire Goodreads career, because I've looked at all my past challenges and I've never gotten close to that. So I did kind of set myself up for success with 2020, just because I didn't really know, like, was that accurate, or is it just because I started a booktube channel? I did up this goal dramatically. Well, I don't know if it'd be dramatically, but I did up this goal for 2021. So guys, those are all the goals that I tried to accomplish in 2020. I will say overall, I'm pretty happy with my progress. I think that I definitely had some major successes as well as some kind of successes. To me, my definition of a success is, did I attempt it and make any progress? Like, if that's the case, then it's a success. Was it accomplished? That's where it's debatable. As for 2021, I did create reading goals. I will say that majority of them are the same. I did do a lot of the same type of goal, but I've changed the amounts. So I didn't want to make a special video for it because it just seemed really, really boring. Because if you watched last year's and then this one, it would basically be the same video. I don't have like fun graphics to put up on the screen or anything, so it just seemed boring. But I did do my 2021 bullet journal setup, and in there I discuss each of my goals while I'm creating those spreads. So if you are interested in my reading goals, go ahead and check out my bullet journal video. I do think that I'm going to do like an end of the year flip through next year so that you can see how I did on my goals. So that's where that will also be discussed. I don't think I'm going to create separate videos for goals anymore, just because it seems boring. But alright guys, that is everything that I have for you in this video. Definitely be sure to leave a comment telling me how you did on any of your reading goals in 2020. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, to please give it a thumbs up. Keep reading, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!